了解到，造成昨天晚上机场封锁、大批航班被降宁波、无锡的不明飞行物事件，有关方面已经介入，但是还没有找到它的下落。机场相关新闻发言人称，航空监管人员7号晚上9点左右发现机场上空有不明飞行物之后，随即通知旅客封锁了机场。一位机场工作人员透露，这个飞行物只有一些观测仪器才能够发现。目前调查正在进行当中，机场的秩序已经恢复了正常，但是监管人员
掌握的不明飞行物的信息。
高度可能有点3以上。3你看看那个移动速度快不快？移动速度相当快，拉了一溜往前跑得挺快。你先等过来好了，转到90度好像等会出好了。今天那个物体啊，一个什么东西在拉烟那个劲似的，跟一条大鱼似的在那里。303绝对是个飞行物是吧？判断不清什么东西，反正是在移动。接近303，关键是看到那个东西，现在还能够看到它两个分离了。下边一个，上边一个，大约它两个的高差有2-3厘米那个样。聊到什么东西？它两个现在分开了，有一个分成两个，上面是个圆的，下边还是个长的。今天它那样对你飞行有没有影响？没有影响，现在逐渐在我视线当中消失了。
Hangzhou Xiaoshan International Airport, located 27 kilometers from the city center near the mouth of Hangzhou Bay and surrounded by flat agricultural land. On the night of July 7, 2010, the airport was operating normally. The newly opened international terminal, inaugurated just a month earlier, was in use. Evening traffic was steady, and weather conditions were unremarkable. At 8:40 p.m., the crew of an inbound flight preparing to land reported to the control tower that an unidentified luminous point had appeared over the airport. Within moments, a second inbound flight made the same report, confirming the presence of a bright object in the same location. Air traffic controllers checked the radar scopes. No target was visible. The object was not showing up on primary or secondary radars. 8:45 p.m., citing safety concerns, the Civil Aviation Administration's East China Division ordered an immediate suspension of all takeoff and landings at Xiaoshan. Departures were halted at the gates. Inbound flights were diverted to Ningbo, Wuxi, or Shanghai. Many flights would depart up to 3 hours late, and 18 flights in total was affected. According to the duty manager interviewed on the next day, this was the first time such a shutdown has occurred for an unidentified aerial object. The decision was based on that the object was not visible on radars, and 2 separate flight crews has confirmed its presence, as well as that no similar incidents has been encountered before at airports in China. Among the public, attention quickly focused on the photographs circulating online. The most widely recognized was the one taken that night by Mr. Ma, a resident of the township near the airport. At 8:26 p.m., Mr. Ma was carrying his Canon EOS 500D DSLR camera and captured a single long exposure image of a cigar-shaped luminous form with red lights on the top and white lights along the bottom, and a row of small white points resembling portholes. No sounds accompanied its passage above him. Several analysts later determined that such an image could be produced by photographing a conventional aircraft on final approach using a slow shutter speed. Aircraft wingtip navigation lights, red on the left and green on the right, and bright landing lights could create the red and white streak, while high-frequency anti-collision strobes could appear as evenly spaced white dots. Another widely shared photo showed similar elongated form with a beam of light projecting downwards. Image tracing revealed its true origin, a 2007 photograph from Lille in France, and the image was taken of a helicopter conducting security patrols with a searchlight, also captured in long exposure. Following the event, the Zhejiang Air Traffic Control Bureau conducted several interviews. Investigators clarified that the initial sightings was reported from airborne flight crews, not from the ground personnel. The object was described simply as a bright point of light, not the cigar-shaped craft. Ground witness in nearby villages also reported a luminous point in the sky. Whether this was the conventional aircraft, a private airplane, or something else could not be determined. A video later uploaded on July 16, 2010, allegedly filmed by a passenger aboard one of the affected flights, showed a single bright circular light consisting with a point of light described in the investigation report. Its timing also matched the incident, and it differed from the elongated forms popularized online. There are several debates and hypotheses about this. One explanation proposed that the light was Venus, which can appear extremely bright in summer evenings at low altitude. While misidentification of Venus is common in UFO reports, professional flight crews are trained to recognize celestial objects, making this explanation less convincing. The Xiaoshan UFO incident remains unexplained. It disrupted one of China's major airports. Hangzhou is the 10th most popular airport in China in terms of travelers. Despite the extensive analysis, the identity of the object seen that night has never been confirmed. See what I did there? I did this for everybody with a short attention span, including myself, that needed one part of the iceberg at the beginning. But now I have to talk a little bit before we continue with the rest. Firstly, I need to apologize deeply. Why? Because of that. I cannot find parts of the iceberg. What? I cannot Google or Baidu? Am I stupid? Maybe. But my excuse is that I seriously just cannot find stuff that he writes in a very cryptic way, and that happens maybe once or twice every level. But don't worry, because I will fit in other stuff, other mysteries that I know about that I deem fit for each level, so trust me on that. The two things that I could not find at this iceberg is this red wedding dress that I have no idea what that means, and this congratulatory message for 512, which is extremely wicked if you think about it, because it is one of the largest earthquakes in Chinese history, and with an extremely high death count. To even think that there's somebody or some organization giving congratulatory messages will be extremely crazy. But sadly I could not find anything, so if you guys know about this, please tell me. Otherwise, here is the rest of the video. Please enjoy. And hold up, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you. So I would say that this case is one of the most well-known cases in China. I actually heard about this case for the first time from my mother, I think, so everybody knows about this. And it is very frustrating. So Zhu Ling was born on November 24th in 1973 in Beijing, China. And she was born into an intellectual family, with the father being a scientist at the National Seismological Bureau. And tragically, her sister died in April 1989 after having an accident at a field trip with friends. So that was the first tragedy that struck her family. Zhu Ling was admitted to Tsinghua University in 1992, which is the equivalent of being admitted to MIT in the United States, and she majored in physical chemistry. She was described as a very bright student and very versatile, as both knowing chemical knowledge as well as traditional Chinese musical instruments. So being this smart and excelling in many fields usually also gives you people that are very jealous of you. So starting in October 1994, Zhu started to feel that she is having blurred vision in both of her eyes, and she was examined at the Peking Medical College, which treated her but did not actually look at the cause of the issue. On November 1994, Zhu started to suffer from much more severe symptoms. At first she had severe stomach pain and couldn't eat much, and later on she had started to suffer from hair loss. And on December 23rd, she was finally admitted to the hospital again. Upon examinations, the doctors found that her arsenic and mercury levels were normal. So the hospital, as they do, treated her with traditional Chinese medicine, which kind of worked at the beginning, and her hair started to grow back. Later on, she was discharged in January in 1995, when she somewhat returned to better health. But in February 1995, Zhu returned to the university after the winter break and started a new semester. She would not get far then, because she started to develop severe pain in her legs directly. So on March 9th, she was brought to the special neurological clinic in the Union Hospital, where the doctors stated that her symptoms were likely linked to thallium poisoning. When she was admitted, she was able to speak clearly, but later on she started to get the hair loss again, as well as having immense pain in all body parts. Her fingertips were showing a red color and she started to have very high fever, also decreased tactile sensations below the fingertips and knees. The doctors tried many different techniques now and tried to treat her with antibiotics, antivirals, and different types of immune supportants. On March 20th, she fell into a coma and also put into the ICU unit. On April 10th, her classmates sought for help via the internet and started to write down her symptoms in English. This was seen by many online, most notably a doctor working at the Chinese embassy in the United States and a Chinese doctor living in California. The emails got over 2,000 replies from 18 different countries. But the hospital in China, however, rejected their advice and diagnosis. But later on April, the Zhu's family obtained different urine and blood and fingernail samples for their daughter and sent them to the Beijing Institute of Labor, Health and Occupational Disease Prevention Center. The results now show that she has suffered from a dose thousands of times greater than the normal limit of thallium, and that it likely happened twice. In August 1995, she awoke from her coma, but her nervous systems were severely damaged due to the duration of the coma and the poisoning. So because of that, she became nearly blind, could not speak, and her IQ was lowered to the state of a person with the age of 6. During her treatment, the case was reported to police, obviously, on May 5th, and the police went to search her dorm and were told that there had been 2 different accounts of theft that had occurred in her dorm, which took not money, but her different belongings such as water bottle, shampoo, cosmetics, and so on. And this, for anybody that has any common sense, this looks very similar to somebody cleaning up their tracks. The police compiled a list that found that in Beijing only 20 units needed thallium for their work and only 200 people had access to thallium, so therefore the suspects list will be quite small. The police visited every single unit in the city and interviewed 130 people at the university which Zhu had interacted with. Eventually, one woman was singled out by the police, which is a girl that lived together with her in her dorm. Sun Wei was born in 1973 and was a classmate of Zhu. Despite her getting along well with Zhu, by all accounts, she was the police's only suspect based on the fact that she had official access and permission to have thallium, when all of the other students didn't. But nothing was done until 1997, when police took Sun in April of 1997 and questioned her for 8 hours. But after those 8 hours, Sun was never questioned again, since her family showed up to bring her home. Her family consisted of Sun Yueqi, who was an important member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, as a senior leader of the Revolutionary Committee under Chinese Kuomintang, and later joined the Communist Party, and his first cousin was once the deputy mayor of Beijing, with many suspecting that these connections, especially with good connections with then Prime Minister Jiang Zemin, were used to remove Sun from suspicion. However, police deny this and continue to claim that Sun is the main suspect in the case. But on August 25th, 1998, the police secretly closed the case and labeled it as unsolved. Sun would not comment on the case until 2005, explaining online that the police cleared her of any suspicions and that she was innocent and also had no motive to poison Zhu in the first place. In 2013, she added again online that she wanted the real culprit to be found. Sun Wei changed her name and changed her legal date of birth, married an American man, and acquired a green card, moved to the United States of America. But directly after that, a White House petition to get Sun deported or arrested was started in 2013 and gained 143,000 signatures to pressure the Obama administration at the time. But nothing came from this. Even more strangely, September 2013, Zhu's family received a mysterious letter. As this letter was sent from Los Angeles, mailed to her family in China, The anonymous sender of the letter alleged that Zhu was a bully and that all of her roommates and classmates collectively poisoned Zhu together as a revenge, and that Zhu has intentionally caused the entire dorm to have sleep deprivation. A snippet from the letter goes like this: one's own evil cause bears the evil fruit today. She had been affecting the sleep of others for more than 2 years. The dormitory was in a state of semi-collapse and could not tolerate it any longer. They only wanted to expel her from the dormitory and to delay her studies, basically making her drop off a grade, and then they could be separated from the dorms. She was poisoned, but the cause that made her handicapped was purely accidental. This sounds to me only as some type of deranged person online that want to add spice to the case. No official or formal response to the letter was made by Zhu's family. The letter was handed over to the police, who were unable to find the anonymous writer. The only thing known about the letter was that it was written on an A4 paper, which was not very common in the United States, as in the United States they use some other type of paper, I'm not sure. For nearly 3 decades, Zhu Ling lived with her parents with permanent brain damage, and her parents cared for her. And in December 2023, she passed away at age 50. So this case remains unsolved, and for many, this is not about not being able to find the person responsible, more of that it is unsolved because of the background of the case and the cover-up. In June 2019, a strange and new account appeared on Douban. It's basically a letterbox or a type of Reddit in China. And it's a person calling himself KFK, claimed to be a time traveler from 2060. So why 2019? He also said that this is a year of a turning point in human destiny, which that kind of is true because the whole COVID started at the end of that year, but we don't know. And over the following months, KFK answered more than 300 questions from curious users online, and all his answers contained just enough mystery to spark a different type of fascination about himself. Let's see what he predicted. He had a long list of claims about the decades ahead. Firstly, that the Tokyo Olympics would suffer a big accident. I mean, the Olympics was delayed by a year in my memory, so I guess that could be an accident. And then the 2032 Olympics will be held in Jakarta, which in the time of recording in 2025 it is not true, because it will be, as I just searched online, Brisbane, Australia, or Brisbane, so false. And Bitcoin would disappear. Starting in 2020, housing prices will collapse. I mean, kind of true. And the future homes will be mostly built with 3D printers. And we will advance up to 7G of communication technology. After 2030, almost every industry will be integrated with artificial intelligence. And by then, Apple will decline, replaced by 3 leading industries: 3D printed housing, interactive gaming, and VR. Big gamer that is making these claims. And by 2035, humanity would completely eliminate any language barriers. In 2038, strong artificial intelligence would be mass-produced, mostly used for entertainment, cleaning, and security. And cancer would be cured in 2050. But at the same time, between 2030 and 2047, there would be regional wars. And then in 2048, a third world war would erupt in the region, where he described that the US and Israel will be joining forces. Of course they are, against China, India, and Middle East. I mean, China and India is far-fetched, but I don't know what's gonna happen in 2048. Interestingly, also a year before the 100-year anniversary of the People's Republic of China, and a year after the 100-year anniversary of Hong Kong handover. Also, different strange statements as papers will become rare in 2060, and the online users are mocking him, saying that if paper becomes rare in 2060, how do we go to the bathroom? So this is a type of a future man story that if he was a Redditor, we will all be saying that he's doing this for karma. But yeah, he's also a mystery in the iceberg, and gotta give him respect. You know, I cannot cancel this person out of it. Let's give him the time in the iceberg. These two are quite simple stories on the Mandela effect, which are prevalent anywhere in the world, and a very short explanation from me about the Mandela effect is that, for example, Nelson Mandela was considered dead in the 70s or the 1980s by many people, but he actually died in 2013. And there are much more cases of this, that a part of a population or a large chunk, majority of a population will believe something to be true, but later seen as false, and that makes people think that we have different timelines and we're living in the multiverse. So these two Mandela effects consist of Kent Cheng, which is a Hong Kong actor also known as Fat Cat for decades, but in early 2025 his public appearance at a film launch startled many, not because of what he said, but because of that he was alive. Entire groups of fans swore that they remember him dying years before. Some could even describe the supposed TV coverage of his funeral, recalling who attended and what they were. Online digging turned up past false death rumors and dating back to around 2018, which may have blended in with stories about similarly built actors, even other Fat Cat personalities. So for those who hold to the Mandela effect, the Ken Cheng return is one of the signs that the memories can leak from other timelines. And for others, it's just a perfect example of a rumor being turned into facts. The same goes for the 56 constellation or I Love My China song. So in 1991, China hosted the National Ethnic Games, operating with a rousing patriotic anthem, Love My China. One line from the official lyric reads, 56 constellations, 56 flowers. But for millions who sang along over the decades, it was never constellations or star signs at all. They remembered it clearly to be 56 ethnic groups and 56 flowers, a phrase that fits perfectly because of the 56 ethnicity that is in the People's Republic of China. The confusion was so deep that even newspapers, textbooks, and official publication printed the alternate line. By the mid-90s, the incorrect version has become so common that the real lyric, the 56 constellation, often sounded wrong to people hearing it for the first time. Alright, going on to the next one, and this one I have to warn specifically, another warning, I guess, because if you're squeamish or if you doesn't like extreme brutality, or what should I say, don't click away, please, because this is bad. So, on the morning of January 19th, 1996, Nanjing was waking up and it has had some heavy snowfalls. And the snowfall has been delaying the street cleaning. Around 8 a.m. on Huaqiao Road near the bustling Xinjiekou district, a sanitation worker began cleaning the trash from a roadside bin. But she found, while cleaning, a black plastic bag, she described, and there was some, what she considered was pork inside. About a kilo's worth of pork. She thought that she would go home and cook it. And when she took it home and started preparing, rinsing the meat, she found that there was fingers inside the bag. The police responded immediately, of course, confirming that the meat was in fact human tissue. Working with sanitation crews, they began a sweep of all sites in the area. By the afternoon, more remains were found in several different locations, each discovery adding to the scale of the crime. In one area, the workers found 2 bags weighing 0.8 and 0.7 kilos each, containing flesh, which was also boiled. Near the university's neighborhood, police recovered 2 travel bags. One bag labeled Shanghai Travel contained internal organs. Another, Guilin Travel, held in intestinal issues. In all, about 12 kilos of remains were found. Furthermore, in another districts around the university, 8 kilos of flesh near the campus hospitals was found, and another bag near the computing center. A China Travel Service backpack at a bus stop containing nearly a complete human skeleton, about 7.5 kilos, was found. Lastly, 3 kilometers from the campus, a torn bedsheet wrapped around a human head, and more remains were found. Over the next day, smaller bags appeared in alleys, garbage piles, and even manholes. In total, more than 2,000 pieces of human tissue were recovered. Forensic examinations showed precise dismemberment, cuts at joints, muscles removed in cubes, organs separated and wrapped individually, Many parts bore signs of boiling. The face was intact, though the right ear was missing. The skin showed red discoloration and the hair was still present. Clothes were folded neatly. Underclothing bore heavy bloodstains. DNA analysis was not yet standard in China at the time, so identity came when dorm mates confirmed that the head belongs to 18-year-old Diao Aiqing, a first-year diploma student at the university's adult education college. She was born on March 11th in 1976 in rural Jiangsu province. She was the younger of two daughters. After failing the National College entrance exam twice, she enrolled in a diploma program at Nanjing University in September 1995, majoring in microcomputer applications. Described as tall and reserved, she had no known boyfriend, few friends, and spent most of the time alone. On January 9th, Diao spent the day in her room, reportedly unwell. That evening, after a dispute over a fine for illegal applicants' use, which I think most definitely means that they was not allowed to have some type of gaming platform, maybe a telephone or something in their dorm. I'm not sure, but that's my guess. Maybe it's too early for telephones, but any electrical product, I assume. And she left the dorm around 5 p.m. wearing a navy coat with a large red panel. Her last confirmed sightings was at the Xiaofenqiao side gate, holding some loose change. Later, one witness claimed to have seen her in a stationery shop in Pingcang Lane, but police listed her official last known location as Hankou Road, closer to campus. The discovery on January 19th triggered one of the largest campus-related investigations in China's modern history. Police sealed the university, set up command posts, and interviewed every student, faculty member, and workers. They inspected dorms, classrooms, labs, and even boiler rooms for traces for blood or tissue. Kitchen and drainage systems in nearby restaurants were checked. When no suspects emerged from the campus community, the search widened to surrounding neighborhoods. Door-to-door interviews were conducted. Taxi drivers, construction workers, butchers, doctors, and more were questioned. One investigator later added, saying that we looked at anyone who could cut up a human body and dispose it quickly, and we found absolutely nothing. By the spring of 1996, the campus sweep ended without any arrests. The meticulous cutting and boiling led some to suspect medical training, but others pointed out that skilled cooks and butchers could manage similar precision. The disposal had a pattern: initial concealment in garbage piles, and sudden, more conspicuous drops inside the campus, possibly due to panic after police began searching, and the head and clothing left much further away. This hinted that the killer knew the university area very well but lacked any motorized transport, using most likely a bicycle. In an era before widespread CCTV or internet, the case still spread rapidly through local media. Fear gripped the campus, and the students began traveling in groups after dark. In 2008, the case resurfaced when a netizen known as Black Mass posted a detailed speculative profile on Tianya forum, suggesting that the killer met Diao through a shared interest in CDs and killed her over personal issues from the past. Police directly found and interviewed the author, Black Mass, and found no direct link to the crime. It was also speculated that Black Mass learned about it from his father, which was speculated as a policeman working on the case. Other theories range from lone drifter to organized crime to conspiracies involving insiders. In 2008, the police reportedly found trace of gunpowder residue on one of the bags, wooden fibers, and cat hair, suggesting that the killer kept cats and used certain bedding materials common in the 1990s. These clues, however, did not lead to any further arrests. In 2016, on the 20th anniversary, rumors spread online that the statute of limitation had expired, which basically means that the case cannot longer be prosecuted. But that depends on the country's laws. And the Ministry of Public Security publicly refuted this, saying that this case will be pursued indefinitely and we will never give up. In 2022, viral claims of an arrest was denied both by police and Diao's family. The brutality of the mystery kept the case alive online. Forums and blogs filled the speculation. Conspiracy about organ harvesting and family involvements are all over, but none fit the evidence. Her organs was intact and she had no known relationships. The most accepted theory remains simple but chilling, that the killer was a local man, likely living alone with anatomical knowledge and enough privacy to dismember and boil a body. Thank you guys for sticking with me until the end of this video, and I will go to layer 3 and start working on that as soon as possible. But as you can see, it's quite low effort for me to make these videos. I make it quite quickly, and most of the cases I just put in things that just looks like PowerPoint slides and so on. But at the same time, I'm not using AI, so you guys might hear some weird shit or stuttering that I'm doing, and I mean, that's a part of it, I guess. What I want to say is that while researching, I also found other cases or other mysteries that are quite fit for having as a standalone video, and maybe in those videos I can try to do it more similar to other YouTubers and put a bit more effort into it, so to say. Just give me any feedback that you guys want to give. And as of now, I have 12 subscribers on this channel, and I know 3 of the people there, but the 9 people that I have never met in my entire life and just found me online and clicked subscribe, thank you so much, and I appreciate it so much. You guys are the ones that make me want to continue dive down to layer 3, so let's go.